Because international best practice for maritime and underwater cultural heritage sites dictates that the best way to preserve their integrity is to leave everything in situ, once a site is disturbed, it's impossible to restore it to its original condition. And if interventions are not meticulously conducted and really adequately recorded, they can do a great deal of damage to our ability to understand and interpret maritime archaeology. Heritage resources management specialists are also often tasked with assessing the merit of applications to disturb sites, so either through scientific excavation or destruction during the course of a development. And in this, we're required to balance the benefits of that disturbance against those of in situ preservation. This involves a lot of research into maritime and underwater cultural heritage sites to determine their significance as well as their scientific value. Some sites, you may be able to tell us a lot about a particular aspect of our history or prehistory, while others, for example, sites that are already disturbed, can only reveal very little information. And similarly, sites that represent highly significant aspects of our history, such as those related to the history of trade or globalization, history of slavery, those need to be protected and preserved for future generations. In some cases, it can be highly beneficial to disturb sites in the interest of answering bona fide research questions that can improve our knowledge and understanding of maritime and underwater cultural heritage sites. Increased knowledge can help to inform future research strategies, and it can contribute towards social cohesion through highlighting aspects of shared heritage and history. And archaeological excavations, if they're done correctly, can also positively contribute towards bringing maritime and underwater cultural heritage to the surface, so that non-divers and non-archaeologists and the general population can also be given access to this heritage and be educated as to its importance. So important considerations before allowing such interventions include determining whether good research questions are being asked and whether proposed methods are actually appropriate to answer those questions. The qualifications and resources of the applicant are also very important. Are they sufficient to ensure that work is done to a very high standard? Is there a repository, such as a museum, that has the requisite expertise to conserve archaeological materials once they've been removed from their original position? And does that museum have enough resources to ensure that the artifacts are properly looked after in perpetuity? And if the answer to any of these questions is no, then it becomes inadvisable to allow disturbance of that site. It's also the case that maritime and underwater cultural heritage can be at risk of damage or destruction if it is left in situ, and especially when sites are threatened by natural or anthropogenic factors such as adverse environmental conditions and treasure hunting. And in these cases, careful decisions need to be taken to ensure that the best possible outcome for the heritage resources can be achieved. Now, as maritime and underwater cultural heritage practitioners, from archaeologists to heritage managers, we have a duty to ensure that this heritage is protected and preserved, and that if it must be disturbed, it's done under very controlled conditions and according to international standards of practice.